Well, welcome everyone. How you doing?
Good.
Good. All right. So first off, my main question is: have you ever been very jealous? I mean, not like, man, that candy bar looks really sweet right now, haha. But you know, like that car, man, your friend got a Lamborghini or something like that. Have you ever been truly down to the core? I don't know, Lamborghinis, I like them. Have you ever been really down to the core jealous?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you look up online, just type in jealous and you start to look on some of the web forums and stuff like that, you will actually see just some personal stories. So I'm going to read two for you real quick. One's from Anissa Dawn. Don't know who that is. But she's in the 18 to 21 range. Okay. She says, I'm extremely jealous towards pregnant women and women with babies, especially my friends who are pregnant and have a baby. Sometimes I wish they'd just disappear off the face of the earth. I'd wish their baby would die like mine did. Some of them don't even deserve their children because they're doing drugs, they're getting wasted while they're pregnant. Sometimes I just want to punch them in the face. I took great care of myself. And I took care of the baby for over 5.5 months. I was pregnant. I didn't drink alcohol. I didn't do drugs. I didn't smoke cigarettes. I ate healthy. I got enough exercise. But my baby died. And theirs is going to live through their drug abuse and through their alcohol abuse. It's just so unfair that I become nasty and I become mean to them and think about hurting them. I'm responsible, I have the ability and everything I need to have a baby that has a wonderful life. I actually deserve a baby, and these stupid young girls really don't. Another one is from a man. It says, it's hard whenever I see couples holding hands, kissing, or cuddling. I get upset. Yes, I'm jealous. But isn't it human nature to want something someone else has? I'm jealous of their happiness. I wish I could be happy like that. Okay, I'm 43 and a bit of a loser. I still live with my mother, which is difficult for both of us. I've suffered from depression since my mid-20s, and 5 years ago, I had an emotional breakdown. Yes, I was always a shy boy at school, not many friends. I was useless with girls. I had no confidence. All of my friends I used to know have met women, some have kids. I wish that was me. I live at home, up in my room. My mom and my dad downstairs. I never go out. I don't have friends. I need to do something with my life. Please help me. I'm on antidepressants, but they're just like candy. I need happiness. I'm crying out for somebody to give me a cuddle. I just want someone like everybody else to hold my hand, to share my life, and to make me think it's good to be alive. Unlike now. This is true jealousy. This is real. Wanting a candy bar, that's cute and all, but this tears to the soul. Like Kelton said, jealousy has a destructive effect on relationships. And people will try to sabotage your destiny by pushing their success in your face at some times. So I ask you again, have you ever been really jealous? Now, also, if you look online, I'll try and get on an upbeat moment right now. If you look online, you just start typing in. I went to YouTube and I typed in jealousy to see what they had to offer. There's an abundance of songs. I picked one that I thought was fun and I liked it, so I'll show it to you right now.
Somebody set me free. I'm tired of your sympathy. Jealousy.
Let's go.
Jealousy. Jealousy.
Can you tell what the song's about?
That
No, that was not
Who wants to tell me what the song is about?
No.
Yes.
You get a star, sir. And so, what I'm here to tell you today, as he introduced, it is about jealousy. But I'm here to tell you that every believer can fight jealousy by learning from the story of Joseph. Now, I know y'all have heard the story of Joseph since y'all were little. You know, how Joseph overcame, how he didn't give in to temptation. And that is great, but I'm here to do something different. My story was actually originally on Joseph, but I decided to take a different approach to it today. This is my new outline. And it is actually about the story of Joseph, but through his brother's perspective. You know, because that's really what it's about, right? It's about their perspective. And we oftentimes just like, oh, he had brothers. That's cool. But if you remember, it was Judah, his brother, that Christ descended from. His whole family is very important in the testimony of Christ and leading into the New Testament. So if y'all will turn with me today to Genesis 37, we're going to start to take a look at jealousy in Joseph's brothers. So I actually have an outline to give you real quick.
Where are we going again?
It's Genesis 37.
Okay.
So this handout you all will use throughout the entire presentation. And then save the last three spots for until I tell you all the directions on that.
Thanks.
I can't get that song out of my head, man.
It's a good song.
You ruined me.
So in your first blank, if you will put the history of jealousy. Now Jacob lived in the land where his father had sojourned, in the land of Canaan. These are the records of the generations of Jacob. Joseph was 17 years of age. When 17 years of age, was pasturing the flock with his brothers, while he was still a youth, along with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought back a bad report about him to his father. Now, who are his brothers? So here's a little friendly illustration showing who they are. Some of them are kind of happy, but most of them are really mad. Jacob had 4 wives. He had Leah and Rachel were the main wives. You know, he had to work 7 years to have Leah, but then he had to work another 7 for the real wife that he wanted, which was Rachel. She was beautiful. And then he had 2 maidservants that came with each. Pretty good deal, in my opinion, if I was an Old Testament man. Just saying. But, you know, it even says that the work was like nothing to him because he loved Rachel so much. But these are the brothers, and you can see Joseph right here and Benjamin over there. He's kind of cute. He's looking kind of thug. But in verse 3, if you'll look with me, can I have somebody actually read that, please? Verse 3 and 4.
I will. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his sons, because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a vari-colored tunic. His brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, and so they hated him and could not speak to him on friendly terms.
Thank you very much. Now, the last phrase, it says, so they hated him and they could not speak to him on friendly terms. What does that mean? Does anybody?
Hostile work environment.
Yes, it does. What else does it mean? Does anybody know what that little term, on friendly terms, would mean?
Peaceably?
Hmm?
Peaceably?
Yes. A lot of translations, they will say something like they could not speak peace towards him, or they could not speak peaceably to him. And the unfriendly terms actually would mean like, hey, how you doing? They hated him so much, they could not say hello. They couldn't say peace be with you to him. That's how much their hatred was, even at this early point in the chapter. But also, in verse 3 it says the vari-colored tunic. Everybody knows the vari-colored tunic, or the coat of many colors. But what does that robe signify? Does anybody know?
Father's love.
Hmm?
His father's love.
Yes, that is the main theme in it. But also, what would this mean to his brothers?
Well, a coat of many colors was very difficult to make. It was very costly, very expensive, very rare. So it means he's excluded. He's the most favored of all of the kids, I would expect.
Man, take it from the Jewish guy. This guy's correct. I mean, it's very hard to make. You know, they had cloth and they did everything by hand. I mean, if this is an accurate depiction of what it looked like, that would have taken a really long time. But not only that, like he said, it's love and it's favoritism. But to his brothers, it's hinting that Jacob wants to give his birthright to the son.
Yeah.
And that is going to grind your gears. You're saying, there are 10 other guys before this kid, and now he gets a robe. He's being shown royalty, and he's going to get my birthright? That ain't right. So I ask you, just like Joseph put on his royal robe as a outward appearance of authority, what is your royal robe? When people look at you, are you showing off your cars? Are you showing off your jobs or your house? Maybe it's even your wife or your husband. You're like, have you seen my wife? She's looking pretty good. You know, like, are you rubbing it in people's faces, or are you using it to glorify God? Sorry for the noise. So this brings us to my second point, which would be the dreams of jealousy. Would somebody read 5 through 8, please?
Then Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said to them, "Please listen to this dream which I have had. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf rose up, and also stood erect, and behold, your sheaves gathered around and bowed down to my sheaf." Then his brothers said to him, "Are you actually going to reign over us, or are you really going to rule over us?" So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words.
Guys, it didn't take an interpreter for his brothers to know what he was saying. Like, man, your little sheaves bowed down to me, and they're like, no, thank you. Okay, but what would you guys know what a sheaf is, right? Okay, so what a sheaf is this right here. You know, since it's an agricultural society, they would bind up the wheat, and it would be easy to transport. Okay, so what Joseph is actually saying, since it's an agricultural society, is that I'm going to rule over you monetarily. My wealth, or what I use to make money, y'all are going to bow down to me, and mine is going to rise above yours. So he's saying my prosperity is going to be greater than yours. So if we could look at 9 through 11, somebody.
Now he had still another dream, and related it to his brothers, and said, Lo, I have had still another dream, and behold, the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me. And he related it to his father and to his brothers, and his father rebuked him and said to him, What is this dream that you have had? Shall I and your mother and your brothers actually come to bow ourselves down before you to the ground? His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the saying in mind.
There's a lot in this little passage, but if the past dream was prosperity, and now well, first it's a second dream. That usually means some sort of confirmation, as we learn. So it would have made his brothers mad, but now he's involving his dad, and it's a different dream. There's 11 stars. There's the sun and the moon, and so do you guys know what the sun and the moon would represent? Yeah, well, and the stars. I'm sorry, my fault. But if I actually, I kind of knew this just from past sermons and stuff like this. But the Bible Knowledge Commentary says in ancient cultures, these astronomical symbols represented rulers. So he's saying the first dream, I'm going to rule over you monetarily in my prosperity, and now I'm going to rule over you in the form of government. You see why your brothers would be mad at you? If I said this to my brother, he'd kick me in the shin. So, just saying. And then it says his brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the saying in mind. You know, my dad always used to look at me playing around and kicking stuff and be like, man, this kid is just like me. My mother put that curse on me, like, I hope your kids are just like you are. You know, whose mom has ever said that to him? Okay, so a couple of you. But he's saying, Jacob is, I think, this is my interpretation, that Jacob stole his older brother's birthright, right? So now he's looking at Joseph and he's like, he's taking it. He's going for it. This Joseph is more like me than I thought he was. There's this theme of the younger triumphing over the older ones. Does that make sense? And so, I don't know. And so when you have success, like you're having dreams, or well, maybe not, but you know, if stuff starts going well, do you gloat your success over others? I mean, are you the tool used that somebody else is jealous of? Are you breeding jealousy is what I'm asking. Hopefully not. But I'll tell you, if you are, there is a price. And that is my third point. It's the price of jealousy. If somebody could read 12 through 17. Actually, let's do 12 through 14 first.
Then his brothers went to pasture their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, Are not your brothers pasturing the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send you to them. And he said to him, I will go. Then he said to him, Go now and see about the welfare of your brothers and the welfare of the flock, and bring word back to me. So he sent him from the valley of Hebron and he came to Shechem.
Okay. So as you can see, this is where they would have been. Okay. But also, I want to point out that Israel or Jacob is saying to Joseph, "Hey, go check on your brothers, see how they're doing." But again, if we read in verse 3, it says, "And Joseph brought back a bad report about them to their father." I think this is a pattern. I think that Joseph constantly is going out to check on his brothers and see of their welfare, but to also, from Jacob's point of view, see if they're doing what they need to be doing. Just a thought. If somebody could read, let's see, 15 through 24. Oh wait, no, sorry, 20. Which one? I'll just do this. 15 through 17.
A man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field, and the man asked him, What are you looking for? He said, I'm looking for my brothers. Please tell me where they are pasturing the flock. Then the man said, They have moved from here, for I heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan.
Okay, so Dothan would have been about 15 miles north of Shechem. And if they were normally here, I believe it would be kind of weird that they would go up to Dothan. And I was trying to read, why did they go there without notice? And if you look back in the context, Dothan, here the Bible Knowledge Commentary says, one may wonder if they had taken their flocks to Dothan with a hidden agenda of checking out the land of Shechem, whose ruler had raped their sister Dinah. Do you remember that story where they go in, they have everybody circumcised, and then they kill everybody? So that's just, I believe it's chapter 34, 35. But maybe seeing how they're growing, checking it out, something like that. But so Joseph is in the process of coming from his father to go check on them. And my third point is the plot, starting in verse 18. When they saw him from a distance and before he came close to them, they plotted against him to put him to death. And they said to one another, Here is the dreamer. Now then, come and let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits. And we will say a wild beast has devoured him. Then let us see what will become of his dreams. Now this is pretty powerful, first off. but they see him from a distance. He's flaunting his coat off, in my opinion. If I had a coat like that, I'd wear it everywhere I went. But it says it twice. They saw him from a distance before he came close to them. So they saw him far away. He's wearing the coat. And they plotted against him, and they said, here comes this dreamer. They could have said, here comes Daddy's boy. They could have said, here comes the small fry. They had so much that they could have said. The one thing on their mind was these dreams. They did not like the dreams at all. Right? I mean, would y'all like, if your little siblings, I've got a little coat, and I'm going to rule over you one day, and now he's checking to see if I'm doing something bad. This is not flying, okay? And then they say, take him to one of the pits. Does anybody know what the pit would have looked like?
Like an unfinished well.
Yeah. Do you know the shape of it?
Round, probably.
Yeah, there is a lot of round ones, and when I was first thinking of the pit, I was thinking like just a well, just a cylinder, And I started looking at it, and I wanted to find out what it was, and we'll go. Yeah, there you go. This is kind of what it would have looked like. A lot of them would have looked. It would have had a hole, and then it would have gone down into a base. This is probably what Daniel was thrown in with the lion's den. But there was many of these, and I was like, well, why can't he climb out of the well? It's because he would have to climb upside down to even get out. There's no getting out unless somebody reaches down and picks you up. And if you really wanted to torture somebody, put them in the levels. They'll die slowly. And that's what they're doing. But also, what if somebody's walking by and they hear a cry and, they go and get them? That's not going to happen because prisoners are kept in these. People that do crimes are kept in pits. And so nobody's going to go up to him and lift him out because he's a criminal to anybody else's minds. So we're going to go back. So if somebody could read 21 through 24 for me.
But Reuben heard this and rescued him out of their hands and said, let us not take his life. Reuben further said to them, shed no blood. Throw him into this pit that is in the wilderness, but do not lay hands on him, that he might rescue him out of their hands to restore him to his father. So it came about when Joseph reached his brothers that they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the varied-colored tunic that was on him, and they took him and threw him into the pit. Now the pit was empty, without any water.
Okay. So, Reuben has a little bit of character, but he might be afraid that if he says, let's not kill him, they'll kill him as well. Just say, well, man, they were both devoured by animals. And so he's like, I got to figure out a clever way of making sure that my brother is safe and I return to the father. So he said, this is what he says, let's put him in the pit, and then so they stripped him of his tunic, and they took him, threw him into the pit. The pit was empty, without water in it. And so the plot thickens. In 25, they sat down to eat a meal. As they raised their eyes and looked, behold, a caravan of Ishmaelites was coming from Gilead with their camels bearing aromatic gum and balm and myrrh. There was a trading route that went right through there, and on their way to bring them down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, what profit is it for us to kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him. For he is our brother, our own flesh. He's probably wanting money. And his brothers listened to them. Then some Midianite traders passed by, so they pulled him up and lifted Joseph out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver, thus bringing Joseph out into Egypt. One little thing before I go on. It says Midianite and Ishmaelite. Some people say that, see that as a contradiction, but it's not. They were used interchangeably. This would have been their race, and this would have been the affiliation. So it's not a contradiction in the verse. It's like if we just call somebody an Arab, You know, it's a general term, or an American. You know, they might be a Texan or something like that, but they're still an American. Does that make sense to y'all? So, to just kind of sum this up, I'll go ahead and read it. Now Reuben returned to the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit. So he tore his garments. He returned and said to his brothers, "The boy is not there. As for me, where am I to go?" So they took Joseph's tunic, slaughtered a male goat, and dipped the tunic in blood. And they sent the very tunic and brought it to the father. And they said, "We found this. Please examine it to see whether it is your son's tunic or not." Then he examined it and said, "It is my son's tunic." So they tell him that a wild beast has devoured him, and he believes it and says that I'm going to go into mourning. And his father wept for him. So now we're going to play a little game. If I could have you turn over your sheet of the outline, I need you to write on the back. Okay. So I need everybody to either turn around or well, I could probably do this. I'm going to unplug it real quick. So just bear with me. Okay. We're going to play Name That Sound, okay? All right, so in one sentence. Put this one. I don't know why it's doing that.
Can you run it straight out of the headphone jack to your computer?
Yeah, it's running straight through it. But. So in one sentence, there's three things you have to say what it is, okay? You ready? Number one. Okay, go. Come on. That's all you get? I'll play it again.
No.
All right, if you can't guess, we'll go on.
It's a cat.
Schmiegel from Lord of the Rings.
Write it down.
Oh, write it down.
Yeah. And then number two. All right, write down number two, what you think. And please don't say it if you know it, okay? Number three, you ready? Anybody know? Okay. There you go. So does anybody know yet? Anything? Anybody have a guess on this first one?
Eating.
No. It was a cat. Okay, so it's a cat with it's getting scratched and screaming. Anybody on the second one?
A bird, a baby bird?
No, it's not. Is this going to come back on?
There it is.
Okay, so I'll play them real quick.
It's like a gremlin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Evil.
What is that?
That's a frog.
I don't know.
And then the third one is this.
I see that
Oh, really?
So the third one is what I want y'all to focus on, because we see this little thing going on in verses 29 through 35 that they slaughtered a goat and they dipped his tunic in blood to deceive the father, Jacob, which Jacob had slaughtered a goat and put goat hair on him to deceive his father and steal the birthright. Then Judah, the one who slaughtered the goat for Joseph's coat, is deceived in using a goat as payment from the Tamar who veiled her face. There's this thing going on. I mean, you sow something, it's coming back to you. And this is just ironic, in my opinion, that there's so much imagery that is just interchanged throughout this. So again, my thing for this would be, the ram is a sham. All right, so, and these are the three things for you. And the result of all this jealousy is that Joseph is sold into Egypt. So what are you guys jealous of? What are you in those three spaces? I want you to put three things that you're jealous about, or you're jealous of somebody. Okay. Just put three things. It can be simple. It doesn't have to be like, I'm jealous of people's babies and I want them to die. Please don't say that.
That just shows you're not
What if
reading.
they are, though?
You could do that, please. I don't know. Do whatever you want. Please don't you put that. Because you can't have babies anyway. So as you're writing, I do want you guys to reflect on what you are writing and have written, and ask yourself, is it worth the price? Because jealousy leads to death, whether it be a death of a person, death of a goat, or death of yourself or your inner man. There's a price, and is it worth it? This week, I want you to do something. One option would be to go to the person, if it is a person, to apologize. Specifically apologize. I am sorry. I have been looking at this and it's not right. I'm sorry. It's putting animosity between us and I cut it off now. You can also ask God, because you've written these three things. Ask God to help you with these three specific jealous areas. Because even though that the brothers were filled with jealousy, he's 17 when he's sold into slavery, and he's 40 when he sees them again, or around 40. Joseph forgave them. After all that time, he wept over them, and he blessed them greatly. He blessed his entire family greatly when they betrayed him so harshly. So I want you guys to reflect on what you have and either ask God for help if it's an item, or go to the person if you're coveting something else of another person. Let's see. Other than that, I had one reflection actually, that when Joseph lost his coat of many colors, he also lost favor because his father, thinking him dead, was unable to help him any further. It will be the same for you if you lose or fail to put on the coat of many colors that Jesus purchased for you on Calvary. Amen? All right. Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you so much for this day. I thank you for this opportunity to teach and preach to, Lord. I thank you that you are ridding us of jealousy and that you are illuminating areas in our life that we need to work on, Lord. I pray that you be with us as we drive home this evening. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Good job.
Daniel. Right, stay.